scheduled up on the top. Oh,
I know. Why would it say scheduled and then like not allow you to actually go live? Because I had to press go live.
nice.
I mean, YouTube still shows that it's waiting for us.
It hates us.
Yeah.
Technology hates us.
This is not.
All right, wait.
Okay,
now
well, I
up.
see us on there. Yep. Okay. I guess I'll do the entry. Who's fire?
Minasan, bon lecture.
Bon lecture.
Welcome, my friends, to Bugz2Men episode 2. Lions, Dragons, and Lamps. Oh my. I am one of the hosts, Gary, aka GBakes93. And as always, I have my lovable friend, the wonderful, the talented photographer in training, Mr. True KROs, aka Reggie.
What's up, everybody? Well, actually, that's not my intro. I have my own intro, and I even messed that up. Okay, to start over. What is up, my bros? It is True KROs, aka Reggie here, and we have a special guest. He was a good friend, and we got to see him on Team Riders, various streams. I got to be with him on the collectible stream. It's our buddy from Prawnhornheroes, Mr. Jem. Jem, introduce yourself to everybody over here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Jem. I run a little channel with my partner Fee called Prawnhornheroes, and yeah, I'm here to have a good time with our Bugz2Men fam. What's going on? Let's talk Saber.
Yeah, so obviously today's episode is about the Saber in your hand, Kamen Rider Saber. So when this first was revealed, there's the second Reiwa series. Everybody here, what was your first impressions when you saw it? I mean, obviously we got the swordsman theme up front, seeing the pictures initially. We didn't really get the book theme until we saw the press conference and everything like that. But what were your guys' first thoughts when you saw it?
I'll go first. When we first saw the suit, I was like, this looks gaudy as all hell, honestly. Here's the thing. The asymmetry killed me because it's I wanted it to just be like both sides have a dragon motif. It's only the right side did, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be really weird. And then they explain there's 3 books for the second sword driver, and it affects the body, and I'm like, that's actually kind of dope. And the helmet's really cool too. That I will say that much. That's all I got.
Jem?
Yeah, I think my first impressions, I was excited that we were doing knights, but it's always how they incorporate that into the show. And when I noticed that there were books as the gimmick, that just brought a whole different side of me because I'm not a book reader. So I was just what are they going to pull with this one? But with Gaim, you have fruits, so you can't really base a season off the gimmick that they have necessarily. You can't really tell how the show's going to turn out. So I was definitely open going into Saber. But I was a little iffy, like you, Gary, on the suit. When I saw it at first, I was like, that doesn't really, I don't know. It just looked a little weird. I like his sword coming out of his helmet because it kind of reminds me of Ghost. I don't know why. I think it looks really cool. But overall, my first impressions were kind of just I don't know if I like that or not. And as the show has gone on, his base form, his primary suit, is probably one of my favorites in that show. I think it's really cool.
So anybody that knows me knows that I love swords. Swords are my favorite type of weapon. So the whole series based off of swordsmen, I was excited. The mythical motif that we saw, dragons. Who doesn't like a dragon? And I thought that the suit actually, because I'm used to segmented. My favorite writer is O's, and we had double, and then we took a break from the segments because obviously, so seeing. The dragon side definitely looked clean. The side without the dragon kind of was okay, but here we'll see how things go. And then when the other riders were revealed, that was oh, okay, yeah, this one looks epic. This one looks epic. This one looks epic. This one I'm a little iffy on. I guess I'll see when he's in action. But yeah, that was I would say when it came to Saber, that it was a women themed show, or at least it appeared to be when we first saw it. I was excited. But yeah, so obviously those were our first thoughts, but let's talk. We talked about this guy. So we have our various heroes, the Sword of Logos, the main cast. We have, of course, Toma. We have Rintaro, who is Blades, Kento, Espada. Why am I blanking on Kenson's name right now? Isn't it just Ren?
Ren, yeah.
Ren. Ogami-san, aka Buster. Daishinji-san is, Slash. And Yuri, who is Psycho. But yeah, so of course, when we saw the different heroes, we have the different elements that go along with them. Like Saber is fire, Blades is water, Espada is electricity, which is my favorite element. And then we had Buster is earth, Kenzan is wind, Slash surprised with sound. I didn't know they were going to consider sound as an element, but
I was really hype on that.
Yeah, I really like the character because of that. I mean, let's just talk characters. So Daishinji-san, when we got to hear that he could hear the voices of the swords, that's a typical, artisan type thing. Like, oh, I can hear, I can hear this piece of work. I know what soul it has, what inspiration it has. But then you later find out he's literally the swordsman of sound, so he can actually hear when the sword needs to be refurbished and when it actually accepts its owner. So that's why the suit for Slash was everybody I know when that started off is all oh, that's one of the gaudiest suits we've ever seen. But then as soon as he actually made his action debut, people were loving it. I mean, it's really hard to understand that it was that Hansel Nuts to Gretel was his book. I mean, it took a while before I realized okay, he actually is designed off of a candy house. So.
Oh my god. All right. So characters. I'm actually gonna go ahead real quick and just rank how I view the riders. My least favorite is Kenzan because he is way too impulsive and he's way too brash. And also, he has a sick fascination with Kento.
I think it's in the case for him. It's more of a big brother idol worship type thing. He puts Kento on this pedestal as he is the ideal swordsman that I strive to be, which is and for him, I guess his ideal swordsman is a strong one. So that was the case he was making for against Toma in this first few episodes. Oh, you're not that skilled, you're not that strong. I'll show you what's skilled and strong. So Kento will like me more than you, his childhood friend who he hasn't seen in years that he finally reunited with.
Yeah, that's fair. And then so we have Kenzan. Then we go Yuri, and the only reason why Yuri is so low on my list is just because we don't know a lot about him. We know he was a swordsman 2,000 years ago, and he knows Tassel, who is best character by the way. And honestly, Yuri is he's the aloof friend that's I've got your back always, but at the same time he's trying to adapt to the modern world. He kind of reminds me a lot of what was it? What there's a from Coda from Power Rangers Dino Charge. He had the fish out of water character, and he's already relatable because I know people who moved here from other countries and they were culture shocked. So after that, you have Slash. I like Slash. I love his suit. But the problem is he doesn't really do all that much. He fixes all the swords, but we don't know a lot about him other than the fact that him and Buster have a huge, deep friendship that we've only apparently scratched the surface on. And then I have what's his face? Then I have Saber and Blades on the same level because Toma rubbed me the wrong way at first, and then I slowly grew to like him the more and more I watched it. Rintaro in the last arc of the show, he kind of bugged me a lot. Because, Reggie, are we talking spoilers, by the way? Just so I know.
We might as well, because, I did spoil that, Daishinji becomes Slash, and, that's kind of, a couple episodes later type deal, so.
That's fair. I just want to double check.
And we also talked Yuri and he was
like the whole like thing of like, yeah, there's a spy among the Sword of Logos, and Rintaro is so blindly loyal to the Sword of Logos. He didn't think a minute to like hear Toma's side of the story. He's went straight with the buggy woman whose name currently escapes me.
Reika, who
Reika.
we'll talk about during the villain segment.
And
Oops, spoiler again.
oh yeah, spoiler, totally. And then you have the best, and then you have Kento, because I like Kento more as Caliber.
Spoiler again.
Yeah, all the spoilers. And then the last one clearly is Buster, because Buster is best dad, and I want his sword. Like I have something to say when we get to like another part of the show today, but that's all for me. Jem, floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know. This season has too many characters for me to like love every single one just as much as like the main writer or more. So like I really do have some favorites in Saber, and I'm sure Sophia does as well. But I would say Slash, he's one of my favorites, and Buster, definitely one of my favorites. They their friendship aside, because I love that on its own. Their friendship aside, all their like sounds from the henshin devices and like all the effects that go into their henshins, they're really cool. I love them. I think they're really unique. And Buster's standby is one of my favorites in the series. So that's definitely a couple of my favorite characters. As far as like Saber, Toma, and sorry, that's the same person. As far as Toma, Rintaro, and Kento, the three, because I always fixate on the primary, secondary, and tertiary. As far as those three, I'm loving each of them in their own like ways. I think Toma can be one note sometimes, but I think overall he's really cool, and I'm loving him. Not as much as Aruto from 01, but like he's getting there probably by the end of the season. I love Toma, and I'm definitely not afraid to admit it, but he definitely is very one note sometimes as far as like, I'm just going to save people, and that's my reason. So, you know, that's how I feel about Toma. Rintaro is probably one of my favorite characters. I love that boy so much. And I definitely don't agree with him most of the time in the show. Like you were saying, being just like misguided and just like blindly following them. I don't really like that either. But I think the romantic side that they've had with May has been really cool. I think that I love romantic plot lines. I'm a lover, not a fighter, that's for sure. So like when I see that stuff in these like big spectacle shows, like I don't know, I gush about it. So that's really cool. As far as our boy Kento, I knew it. It was like either Buster or Kento. Episode 12, episode 13, something's gonna happen. And I felt it, and then it wasn't Buster, so I was like, okay, it's Kento, that's fine. But what they're doing with him now, I don't really love. I love seeing him in that suit, but I'm not. Yeah. He's also kind of just like, no, since we're talking spoilers, obviously, he's just been like, the future, it's not gonna change. Meanwhile, like Elemental has happened. Rintaro, I'm sure is about to change the game in the next episode. Yeah. Like just like switching that whole, the future is set that like Kento has been like preaching. I don't really like that, but I'm excited to see where it goes nonetheless.
Yeah. So in regards to Rintaro's like blind following, you guys have to consider that, you know, like he was raised by the Sword of Logos. That's basically all he's ever known.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
Like, that's where his blind loyalty is. So
yeah,
like,
that's why I love him, because I know he has reasons to do what he does. I just definitely don't agree with how long they've been doing it.
Yeah, that was really dragged out. I mean, like as soon as Reika kind of showed her colors, I felt like he should have gone for Toma, because like he was literally Toma's first friend, disregarding Kento with the Sword of Logos. He knew Toma's character. So the fact that he actually took on hi Andres. We have somebody in the chat.
Oh.
The fact that we had the fact that we had, like he believed her word that like, oh yeah, Sophia is kidnapped and there is a traitor among us, and like, oh, where's Sophia with the kidnapper? Who's the kidnapper? Moving on. I mean, honestly, that whole plot line though, that instant betrayal episode just didn't work for me. The only one that really could have like, that really would have gone against him is literally the only person that's not joined him right now, which is Ren, because of his blind loyalty to Kento. Like, how can you side with Kento's killer? That makes him like sad. But Daishinji and Okami-san, Reika's argument for them, like, well, you guys saw what happened to Caliber, and he's talking about the same thing. Don't you think that he's like you guys really flipped that easily?
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that's Psycho's debut episode, and that whole episode leading up to that moment was just like, wait, but why is this happening? Wait, hold on.
Like,
wait, but why are they following her? Why are they doing this?
I feel like that if that wasn't just condensed into one episode, if that was like her slowly manipulating them, it would have worked better.
Yeah.
But instead they just, everybody, Toma traitor. Okay, let's go at him.
I mean, I wanted to bring this up. And it's also something that we'll get into later because there was a question about it. How do you guys feel about the like different like forms that the writers have had? Because personally, I think I said this right before you got on to the call here, Jem, but I have my personal ringtone now, the Dragonic Knight jingle.
Nice. I love that jingle so much. Before I get into that though, I just wanted to add to what Reggie was saying. I definitely feel like that would have been great if they had like stretched that out because it was too quick to do it in one episode. And I also am mad at them for not having Toma speak up more because I feel like he could have spoken up about Reika coming to him as well. Yeah. And I was just surprised that like everybody was like exactly like you're saying, everybody was so quick to turn on him, but he was also very quick to just defend himself as far as like fighting wise, instead of like saying like what happened to him as well. Like, oh, she came to me as well. She tried to get me to come to the southern base and all that stuff. But I told her no, because I figured we were good. Because like it happened, like she also came to Toma. So I was surprised that like that wasn't spoken about sooner as well. That's why like I also am not a fan of that episode, and I think Psycho's debut definitely made up for it because I love Psycho.
I mean, I'll say this much also in regards to Yuri. I love the fact that not only what is he literally the sword for Psycho, but I love his comic book form. I think that's so dope.
Yeah, you were talking about like standbys or like sounds, and I think Ex-Swordsman has one of the best. But as far as Saber, before Primitive Dragon, I agree with you. Dragonic Knight was the best theme, in my opinion. But Primitive Dragon took that one way. I love that theme now.
I have a very interesting point to make about Primitive Dragon real quick. So I was watching the episode 2 days ago where like he tames Primitive Dragon and he gets Elemental Dragon. I'm like, well, guys, this show teaches you one thing. In order to cure a giant demon dragon, you just need friendship.
Yeah.
Forze approved.
I was gonna say it was big Forze vibes in those last couple episodes where like friendship was shining through.
Yeah. I mean, like let's see. So going back to Kento's situation as Caliber.
Yeah.
So I mean, you guys heard me earlier. I like electricity is my favorite element. So I was really excited to see what they were going to do with the Spada. So I was honestly not very happy that they pulled another Hase Kiria situation where he's a sacrificial lamb rider and then back as like an antagonist, but with good intentions. Like, I mean, with Kiria, though, like you had him, like he came back as a bugster. He's kind of playing, and this one though, he has good intentions, but his method of doing it is just, stereotypically evil in a way, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I
we might
mean,
use this as a transition into the villains, because like obviously, our big discussion, what we brought up so far has been Caliber. Originally, for those who spoilers, originally was Kento's father, who when he came back on the scene, Kento was asking him like, "Why did you betray us? Why did you betray the Sword of Logos?" Only to find out that it was actually the second Saber. So Caliber is one of our few legacy characters in the show. That we've seen like throughout the show. Because I mean, obviously there was I know there's a special where they're going to show the previous Kenzan and Espada before Kento and Ren. So I can't wait to see what that goes with that.
I'm so excited about it because the previous Kenzan is female, so now I have a reason to buy that Hayate. Now I have a reason to buy that because I was not going to buy it before.
Yeah, like Hayate. Like okay, let's get back to Hayate because and the swords themselves. So obviously, like for people who know, like Saber, Blades, and Espada, they all have the Seiken sword driver. So they have not this dinky thing, but bigger with the different emblems.
An actual sword.
And then we got to Buster, who has a Buster sword. I mean, like Jen, you have it as like a toy, and like even though it's not full size, it's a much more decent sized blade than this.
Yeah, it's what I would rather have as far as like the other deluxe toys. I can grab it real quick if somebody else wants to speak.
I'll speak about the swords because it's funny because I was thinking to myself like the only 3 riders that use the sword driver are literally just Saber,
our primary trio.
Yeah, the primary trio.
Trio at this point.
I see what you did there. No, but honestly, I think that's pretty. That was a pretty smart decision, and I'll tell you why. Because with that, they don't have to introduce new forms for the riders. They can say those for like a V cinema or something. But what I think gets me the most is I still want that sword.
It's a okay. This is a kitchen knife, and that's a sword.
I still want that sword. No, but I think like the only downside like for the like giant swords is just like they're not as cool looking as the Seiken sword driver because like it's like there's like a sword that's like sheathed and like you can like what traditional knights do, they like unsheath their swords and they charge into battle. If anybody's ever seen like anything from like King Arthur. But meanwhile, like when it comes to like Buster's sword or like Kenzan's sword or heck even Slash's sword, you don't have a way to like store that like in like a sheath.
Well, I mean, Buster's like just strapped on his back. But I mean like the Dokoken Gekido.
Yeah.
And the Onryu can Suzune, and then Fuso can Hayate.
Yeah. I mean,
we don't own.
What I will say though about Kenzan's sword is I love the fact that it can actually like split apart and become a giant shuriken.
That is my favorite part of the sword.
Double same. 2 swords and then the shuriken.
Yeah. So. Like he should have been named Blades because he has 2 swords. But yeah, I think Slash's sword is my favorite because you can also do gun mode. I think that's amazing.
The bayonet. Sword more than bayonet mode.
It's really cool. I love it. This was a must when it came out. And like I was comparing them earlier. But like there's no like you get this for Ankoken.
Ankoken Kurayami.
That's fine, but like you'd rather have something like this,
Yeah.
Like imagine if this was this size,
Because honestly, now that you have them both up, my favorite of all of the Seikens is Ankoken Kurayami, and it's sad that it's that small.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I mean, I said this to Chenix the other day. I was like, who at Bandai do we need to talk to have actual full-size swords? Like, I want to be able, because I have a sword from Medieval Times right here and on my wall, and I'm like, I would love to be able to display Buster's sword on my wall.
Here's the last one we have.
Psycho!
I love Psycho. He's a great size compared to like Kurayami or like the Seiken swords, But I love the Seiken swords just because of the emblem switches.
Yeah. Because like I know that when we were first hearing about Saber, they were talking about like multiple emblems and like multiple blades. But instead, we only got the 3 emblems, but we did get the multiple blades. So that was the cool part about it. But yeah, I want to say because the emblems are a decent size. If you have like some form of way to like make a bigger sword and put the electronics in it, you could just keep the emblem the same size it is. Because when you look at this, it actually like for me, my hands are kind of small, so it actually forms like a hand guard. But yeah, of all of them, like I said, Ankoken Kuriyami is my favorite, followed by Gekido, Buster Sword. Psycho is a clear third because he folds it, he opens it, book, and he just takes it out.
I love that. Yeah, it just opens up when you pull it out. That's my favorite part of the driver/belt.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, Jem. Doesn't it use the same exact like buckle as Ankoken Kuriyami?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I can show you. Where's the camera? Right there.
Okay,
yeah, it's just a repaint.
See, that's what I kind of like about these when it comes to toy. Okay, we're getting off track, but that's what I kind of like about how some of these Kamen Rider things go, because like a lot of like belt straps like are made from the same things. So like if I ever have to, mod like for example, Ghost Driver's buckle pieces are the same as the Bill Drivers. So before I could get like because I'm not a skinny guy, so I can't wear it like without extensions or anything. So I typically use elastic. So to do the elastic belt, until I got the spare elastic, I just reused Ghost for a lot of my videos back then. So okay, let's go back to the villains. So Caliber, back to their legacy character, 3 of them. So of course we just mentioned that the Caliber at the start of the show is actually the original Saber, or the Saber before Toma at least. Who knows that there is a traitor within the organization. He's seen, if I remember correctly, it's been like a while since I've seen his last episode, but he had mentioned seeing like the greater power, or knowing about like the greater power of these books, right?
Yeah. If I recall correctly, episode 14 was when he died, and because he died the same episode that Toma got Dragonic Knight.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, he's like, I bore witness to the great power. All you know is a lie. And I'm just like when I saw that, I was like, so there's a lot to this secret organization that we don't know. And I was getting really weird. I was getting like vibes from like other toku that I've seen, like just not even just toku, like media in general, like. Going off topic here, I don't know if either one of you guys have ever heard of the show called Highlander or seen the movies. There was an entire organization called the Watchers, and their whole job was to record what their Highlander did. And if I recall correctly, we didn't even find out that much about them, because I've only seen like the first like couple episodes of the show. And like Buffy the Vampire Slayer too. Like with Buffy, there was an entire organization of the people who trained all the vampire slayers. But I just like the fact that we're at episode 31 tonight, and we really don't know all that much about the sort of logos. Like we know like the bare minimum, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because it keeps us wanting more, which they can explain in like future V cinemas and stuff. Because if we're going off of the traditional Kamen Rider TV show trend, we probably have about anywhere from like 14 to 18 episodes left of the show.
You could cut off early too, and you only have like 9 left too. Like, because a lot of Kamen Rider series, like they vary from being. Well, I mean, Decade ended at like this point. A lot of them tend to go from like early 40s to late 40s. Modern days, though.
If I recall correctly, though, the whole reason why they ended Decade at episode 31 was because they wanted to make Sentai a quarter 1 show and make Rider a quarter 3 show, because that's what they did with Double. Because I guess it just helps them financially. Have you ever gotten like a legitimate reason as to why like Rider and Sentai don't start and end around the same time? I don't remember if we ever got one, but the fact that we've had 3 different users of Caliber, and like when we saw Caliber, get like when we saw Kento. Sorry, I have a lot of like jumbled thoughts in my mind. So when we saw Kento like explaining like he's seen like a bunch of different timelines, that made me think of another property, Doctor Who. There was an episode where where one of the Daleks has seen like, oh, I've seen like every possible universe, every possible future. I'm like, so pretty much Kento's seen everybody die like several times by this point. And he says, oh, the only way to stop this whole thing from happening is from stealing all the swords, which I don't agree with because of one reason. You need the swords to stop the villains. Yeah, I had a brain fart ready. Thank you. You need the swords to stop the Megiddo, and you also need all of the Wonder Ride books. So what's stealing the swords going to do? Nothing. You're trying to make it 10 times easier for Storius and what's the other one's name?
Well, Zeus, because
yeah, the other two. You're gonna make it so much easier for them to get what they want, as well as the other villains, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So, you just mentioned the Megids. So of course we have Megiddo. So we have Storius based off of Storius.
I actually have the Rider Wiki up right now.
Rider Wiki's not really that great, but I think it was Storius was for like the
Storius is.
Was he a legendary beast? No, that was Legio.
Right? Legio
is a legendary beast, so like dragon, and then Zeus obviously is the beast Zoo. And Storius was for the fantasy stories, because I mean the Wonder Ride books come in like those three different categories. You have the legendary beasts, you have the normal animals, and then you have like the fantasy storylines. It's like with the Wonder Ride combos, for example, you had like Tenku, Pegasus, Lion Senki, and Peter Fantasista for Blades' Wonder Ride combo. So those are the three different categories: the mythical beast, the normal beast, and then the fantasy storyline. So the big thing that kind of not really shocked, but people were getting hints from is these aren't just like monsters that came out. These were originally human. These were originally part of that group that originally was the original Sword of Logos group. And you of course see more flashbacks of that when spoilers, Legio has his final battle with Saber.
How dare they? How dare they get me?
Yeah, that little flashback of him, happy with his friends and Tassel back when Tassel was known as Victor, and all of them, and then yeah, this is so beautiful. So I think that comes to mind that since they kind of deny their their humanity. Whoops, the Gebu Shinwa book just swung open and knocked over a couple of books. But yeah, when we basically the idea of power corrupting the mind, that's kind of what they thought of with Toma. When Reika was saying, oh, he's seen the great power, he's gonna betray you guys. That's what kind of happened with them. Is I think that's why they kind of took as an example. I mean, obviously they don't really recognize. I mean, they know their names, but they don't really recognize who they were as humans, I guess. So they know about them. So that's what probably they know. Okay, these guys, while they. I mean, I guess it really all depends on. Well, Sophia obviously knows because she's probably been around a lot longer than anybody else. Yuri obviously knows to some capacity, but I guess he's just withholding information right now because he doesn't mention really that this. But yeah, you have those three, and obviously they create their their monsters. And lately, they've been utilizing humans, turning them into monsters with their books, and then eventually, when the book is completed, the human fades away. They no longer exist. The monster is here to stay. So that's the current storyline. Originally they were just doing the little one-off books, the grasshopper and the ant, and the King Salamander, and then the Emperor's clothes. So I love the fantasy theme for each of them for the fantasy ones. Because the animal book ones, because I mean they're all based on stories. So it's for the animal-based ones, it was really hard to determine, like, is this actually mythology or is this actually just like an encyclopedia thing? Because encyclopedia, we're about to get into that too. But these they're certainly an interesting group of villains, but I think that they fall under what Jem mentioned earlier about too many characters. So, like right now, they were kind of pushed on the back burner for this next group we're about to talk about.
I'm excited to talk about this next group, but here's the thing. The thing with me and the Megiddo is just that they're very uninteresting overall. Like I like their monster designs quite a bit, and also fun little trivia note here: all three of the main Megiddo can actually speak English. There's a clip on Reddit. I don't know if you guys have seen where from the second anime, Kamen Rider Saber anime, where there's a fun little bit where they're talking about like playing the organ, and it's utterly hilarious. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on Reddit.
Like the Saber Daily Life special is kind of like what the 01 did back then, like that kind of anime thing. Like they're kind of chibi. Yeah, I've seen the clips. That's kind of cool. Is that like those guys actually interact with the fans a lot. Like when the show was starting up in hype, like they were actually reaching out to American fans who were talking about it, and like obviously with the 50th celebration, a lot more people were talking with them as well. So like it's really cool to see actors from series actually interacting with their fans, and that's
absolutely
what these guys have been doing. I mean, of the three Megiddo though, the three main Megiddo, Storius, Legiel, and Zeus, who is your guys' favorite?
I'm going last.
I don't think I have a favorite, only because I wasn't, and I'm still not. I like maybe more recently now that Legiel died, but I was not interested in them. Like they were just there for me, kind of in the background, because of so many things that were going on. I had other people to be more interested in as far as villain wise. Caliber being like a main thing throughout the whole. Whoever was in the suit, Caliber's always just been like a threat, essentially. And my boy Dezast, like I love him probably more than all the Megiddo.
How do we not bring up Dezast?
Dezast is my guy. Like he's barely in the show, and I just love any moment he shows up.
I love the little social media things where they show him like a different location.
Yeah, I love that. That's so funny.
And the most recent episode of him following Ren around, like saying, "Hey,
yeah."
right?
And I've been waiting for that because I feel like there's going to be something there. But Dezast, in contrast to the Megiddo, they are in every episode basically, and I'm just tired of seeing them because like they don't do much for me. Dezast, every time I see him, I'm hype. I'm so excited because like I just feel like every time he's in the show, there's something's going to happen, or maybe it's just like. He just does something where I just fall in love with him more. And his finisher, Calamity Strike, best finisher in Saber.
Yeah, because with Dezast, like he is one of the few chimeric. I think the name for the monster is Mamado, I believe, right?
I'm not sure.
He's it's been a while, but because I mean, like obviously we've just had like writer on writer violence, and they're actually calling the Megiddo rather than like. But they call them monsters. But so he's one of the few chimeric. So that means that he's actually got themes from each of the different categories. So that makes him a lot stronger. And that's what like is kind of cool about him is that like we what we learned about from him at least is that he was a major player 15 years ago. Like when they were actually fighting, like he fought Buster, he fought Slash. He's apparently slain a couple of swordsmen, which makes you think that he may be the reason why we have Ren and Kento as. Kenzan and Espada,
perhaps.
Because obviously we know that Zeus is the one who killed the previous Blades,
right?
Which is why they're setting up this whole, especially with the latest arc, where spoilers, everybody. I mean, we mentioned that there will be spoilers in this video, where Zeus purposely targeted May to become the Neko Megid to like mess with Rintaro, because the last time Rintaro kicked his butt. So like, and the unfortunate thing is that Zeus, whenever he fights, he gets stronger. It's like, Gary, you'll understand this. It's a Saiyan.
He is a Saiyan.
Like that's why he's like right now he's using Rintaro's like, Rintaro finally came back to the side of good with the guys. Like, he's finally grouped up again. So to have the person he holds most dear from that group, like, and then the Neko Megid is like saying like, the negative thoughts like, oh, he's not strong enough to save me. Like, oh, what a weak guy. And then like, that's messing with Rintaro. So like, he's kind of going like Zeus, like, because Zeus, when you see him, he's kind of like the typical muscle man, like, like, oh, I just need strength for everything. He's actually pulling off a very calculated play right now, messing not only with the physical front, but also the mental front by like emotionally manipulating Rintaro with the Neko Megid, say like claiming that these are Mei's thoughts. But obviously, like that's not Mei. Mei Rintaro, true ship. I love those two together. Like I hope that they get together in the end. They're like a really cute Kamen Rider couple. But
I mean, for me, I'm the same boat as Jem. The only Megiddo I really like is Disaster because I find him to be very interesting, and so I really like his character design. I don't really care all that much. Like for me, they what's it called? The Megiddo fall into the same line for me as the different kinds of Orphanox from Fies. Where like I only if I'm being 100% honest, the only one I really cared about was I haven't seen Fies in 5 years, so the
5
main
years.
I see what you did there. I love it. Oh my god, Horse Orphanoch and Snake Orphanoch. Those are the only two Orphanochs I really honestly cared about the entire time, and also the one who had the kitty, because that kitty was fantastic. But also it's just like I'd rather have more time to develop like some of the weaker characters like Kenzan and for all intents and purposes Mei. Because here's the thing with Mei, that I actually have two other real quick points. It's not that I don't like Mei, but Mei's entire thing is like, oh, I'm Rintaro, I'm Toma's editor. Like I make sure everything it goes smoothly. Other than that, do we really know anything about her? And my other 2 points were, the first one is Saber has a lot of Sentai alumni. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Like we like for Intro's Master Logos is Genta from Shinkenger. So
Love
like
him.
like he's literally just evil Genta, and I love it.
It's really cool.
But like Rintro's master, I think was Boken Blue, which is
Boken
my
Blue.
favorite, which is
Sota.
one of my favorite Sentai of all time.
Love it.
And what's it called? The first Caliber, Kento's dad was the Snake Orphanoch in Fives, but also he was Juzo in Shinkenger.
Juzo, yeah.
And my other point is, how do you guys feel about the lack of them using actual bikes?
I mean, you had that, you had that one. Well, because it's at least with Rintaro's bike, it's doubles as his phone, and then Saber rarely uses the Diago Speedy at all.
I was gonna say a Diago Speedy is like a myth. Like that doesn't exist anymore. Obviously it does, but I'm saying that like we just haven't seen it in the show in so long, and that's how I feel about the bikes in general for this season. Like they were literally just there, and I hate saying this to sell a toy because like we don't see them. They're not like actively in the show, I mean, and it's a bummer.
I mean, here's the thing.
They're technically in every episode, just in the opening.
Oh, that's true. Hey, gotta get that marketing.
But see, here's the thing. The only reason why I bring that up is for the viewers. I actually just binge watch all the Kamen Rider Build. They use the bike in a lot of episodes, but also this is slowly going to the whole problem with Ghost. Ghost had a lot of good ideas, not a lot of substance, but also they used the bike 2 or 3 times. I mean, you can get away with it because there's a lot of toys, but at the same time, it's like Kamen Rider is supposed to ride motorcycles, or in the case of Drive, a giant talking car.
Oh, okay. So in the chat, Andre says like the trope has been going on for a while. Kamen Rider has nothing to do with motorcycles anymore. Blame filming permits being expensive and hard to get a hold of stuff these days for not having more bike stuff. Okay, yeah, so filming permits could be the issue.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously
that's
you don't
totally
want
fair.
loud motors like going around your city.
Of course.
That's fair.
You know, I was even going to bring up. Yeah, I was going to bring up the fact that like even I feel like it's been going on for a while, kind of like Andres was saying. It's nothing new for a season to kind of like put the bike on the back burner, like even to bring up Gaim. A lot of the second, however you like to refer to this, the phase 2 Heisei or Heisei part 2, those seasons, a lot of them, you know, like Gaim, like I'm saying, like the bike was just a way to get to Helheim. If you went like a certain amount of speed or whatever, kind of like Back to the Future. But even then, they found other ways to get into the forest without the bikes. So then the bikes were kind of just lost. And I remember showing some friends of mine Gaim as their first season. They had never seen any Toku, and they were loving Gaim. And then the bikes came in, and I was excited for them because that's a Kamen Rider thing. But they were like, "Wait, why are they just riding bikes now to get to the thing?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, well, it's a Kamen Riders, you know, they got to ride."
And those are movies where they're riding horses all of a sudden.
That was the other thing. In the intro of Gaim, they're like, Gaim is riding a horse. So that was one of the other things that they were like, where are the horses? And I was like, there's no horses. It's just in the intro, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I liked how 01 utilized the bike a little bit because like it's also rarely in that show. But I feel like it's just been a thing recently with Rider. You know, it's like, it's there, let's sell it. And then it's kind of just like gone story-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, another thing also that I wrote that I like what they're doing with Saber is I like the fact that there were certain episodes where we didn't have an intro with our Lord and Savior Tassel because he was, you know, he was doing stuff integral to the plot. For example, he was talking to Master Logos. He was doing research for Yuri to get Psycho Swordsman. He like the fact that it took 28 episodes for Toma to meet Tassel was kind of cool.
I like that.
But I wish they did more with him.
Yeah, no, I agree there.
Because, see, I thought that Tassel was originally just going to be like, because that was the funny thing. When the news and the press conferences all went out, nobody knew about Tassel. Like, so the very first episode, when you see him, he's like, am I watching the right show? Who's this guy? Then the fact that you like we like it seemed like he was just gonna be like an overarching like narrator character, like, you know, just, hey, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened, and then all of a sudden, you know, he's there with Yuri, and they're like, wait, he's actually interacting with the story. So I want to see if like, because I mean, like the whole thing about like, you know, the storyline, the books, I want to see them do like a twist if like well actually let's talk about that in the hypotheticals. We're still on villains, and it's time to talk about the traitors. The traitors of the Sword of Logos, which ironically, as we mentioned earlier, is Master Logos and his two cronies, the Shindai siblings, Reika and Ryoga, also known as Kamen Rider Sabella, the Kamen Rider with the most controversial way of spelling her name. Because it's really hard to figure out how to spell it. And then Kamen Rider Durandal, who everybody thought, why is there another water-themed rider? Haha, he's time. So, yeah, these two. So obviously, Reika, you could when she first appeared, you could tell something was off about her because, like, oh, she's supposed to be another messenger. Like, oh, so she's to fulfill like Sophia's like spot, like for the Southern base, and you know she's just very shady. Like you see her doing these things in the background and like talking to people, and then like. Well, she's talking to like because the way that they did the cuts, it looked like she was on the phone that she may have been communicating with the Megiddo, but I guess it was really her just talking to Master Logos himself. Like, and before you actually meet Master Logos, you think that she's just using his name as a way to get what she wants. Like, yeah, Master Logos commands this, Master Logos commands this. Like, oh, are you sure that he does that? Yes, that's what Master Logos wants.
I mean, for me, I think Durandal is the best out of the two of them, and I'll tell you why. First of all, his sword is either a sword or a trident. When was the last time we had a trident weapon in Toku? Gokaiger. And here's the thing also to keep in mind. I have a personal theory about not only Isabella, but also Sophia, that I forgot to mention in the Allies/Hero segment. I think Sophia is Luna, but she has her brain scrambled. Kind of
Really?
like what happened with Sento being Takumi, but of course, because of because of evil, he's like, yeah, I'm actually Takumi. Yeah, and part of the reason why is just because of how she interacts with everybody. Like with like Toma, she's like more friendly, and she takes being Kento's master very personally. Like I remember when she was saved by Caliber, and he dehensions and it's like, oh, that's Kento. She's like, what the hell just happened? Like why are you Saber? I mean Caliber. You know what I mean? And then the other girl, I have a feeling that it's like Reggie said. I really do feel like she's working with a Megiddo, but so she's betraying not only Master Logos, who she apparently has a thing for, but she's also betraying just all the heroes. And if she's really working for the Megiddo, I would be honestly shocked. But that'd be pretty cool headcanon for me.
What I would say was that like I think that they were like trying to perceive her as working with them.
Yeah, there was
like,
an episode where they did, but
I think
I feel like
how it was cut in the episode to make it look
exactly
like
right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. As far as those two, for me, Sabila kind of takes the cake. I love her shoot. I love her sword. The sounds in her sword. That jingle is probably one of my favorites. It's really good. But yeah, it's so good. But Gary, kind of like how you were saying with what's her name? With Sophia, how she could be Luna. That has been our theory like from the get-go, because I feel like Luna has to be someone. Luna is, and these are my two options right now. Luna has to be either Sophia or she is Reika. And I feel like it could be a situation where she was just, when she was taken into the Wonder World, she was probably raised just like Blades as a swordsman to become Sabila, and that's maybe why she's so faithful as well. That's just one theory, because I actually don't feel like they're like real brother and sister either. Durandal and Sabila. I think that it could be like we were raised by the guilds, kind of like Blades. And that's just one of my theories as far as like who Luna could be. My other one is like you're saying, Gary, Luna could be Sophia, where she just doesn't remember Toma or Kento and all that. Or maybe she does, or she just has like different memories. But I think that Luna definitely grew up to be somebody. If not, maybe she's still a kid. That could be another scenario.
Plot twist. Bigger plot twist. Luna is May.
And that was my other one. That was, but like I've strayed past that at this point. But that could be another one. In the first episode, I was like, why is this literally that scene from 5 minutes ago when she's like screaming Toma's name and like they're trying to like make sure they don't let go or whatever. That happened with May, and I was like, are we putting something here? Like, is this a foreshadow?
I think that they brought up that probably Luna, like, because trapping the or switching the humans, like, or to the books for the Megiddo, that maybe Luna may have been, an unfortunate victim, and that's why we don't see her.
Wow, that would be really cool.
I mean, so real quick, we actually have a comment from Peacemaker 2448. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Andreas as well. So the Peacemaker says, problem is that Sophia is present in the 15 years ago special that's on the DVD, so she can't be Luna. That's fair. Cool. Yeah, that's fair. And and Andreas also says, I feel that the Luna character hasn't been very apparent in the story anymore. I feel like she's not emphasized enough. I agree, but keep in mind also she was trapped in the Southern Base for like 12 episodes, so.
And they wanted to do more action scenes, obviously. Like that's.
I mean, it's kind of going. See what based off Reggie just said. It's like Power Rangers Super Mega Force. Remember, guys, there's no story. It's all action, action, action. Because the kids would find story stuff too boring.
Which is ironic, because this whole series is about stories.
It's
But
funny. It's funny that you mention Sophia being gone for all the action, because for the longest time, because she was gone for so long, I started theorizing that maybe she had left to start her own training so that she could come back as a rider, but that didn't happen.
that would have been cool.
Didn't
But
happen.
at the same time, like all the swords are currently called for. I mean,
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah. No.
might
And I
as
don't
well-
see it happening now unless she becomes a Spada.
that would be cool if she
Or
could.
May.
Because
Or May.
becomes a Spada.
I definitely want May
Obviously-
to be a Spada first.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that what happened to Raimen Ken Ikazuchi? Because, well, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's been a while since I've watched those episodes previous, but I know that Toma had it for a bit.
Yeah.
Is it still at the base? Just
As
not
far as I know, it's still at the base because it's like it. Because like I said, I watched like 17 episodes of Rider this week, and I remember them specifically saying that like Toma-san still has Raimei Ken Ikazuchi in the northern base. We haven't heard anything from that. But what I do want to speculate on is what if Sophia and Reika are the same person, but they've been split apart? Kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison.
Woo! Is that a big theory? Wow.
This is the big bit.
That's like the biggest theory I've heard for Saber.
Obviously,
honestly.
we switched into hypotheticals.
Yeah, that's a good transition for sure, because that would be obviously like some Sento Takumi stuff. Like that would be.
Yeah. I mean, because also, if we're going off hypotheticals real quick, I just wanted to say, what if Saber's final form is just a combination of all the swords and all the Wonder Ride books together? Like, I combine it together, like one giant new sword.
I was gonna say, like, are you talking about Genius instead? It's all books, though.
Yes.
I would want it to differ from that only because Elementals kind of bring in that, where like he has all the like elements of like the swords in that one situation,
Yeah.
or maybe not all of them, but like a good amount of the elements. So I would rather his final form maybe be like a separate sword or maybe a separate driver, because I love when they do that. But I think it would be really cool to see like a really golden Saber, because I love final forms that are golden, kind of like Muteki and King form for Blade. I love when they're gold, so that's what I'm hoping for.
I knew I liked you. Blade is Blade is one of my favorite Kamen Riders.
We love Blade over here. Hold up.
Oh no.
Okay,
We
whenever
love Blade.
when we get to the Blade episode, we gotta remember to bring in Carl too.
Oh
Yeah, absolutely.
yes.
And you guys can all talk, because to be honest, I haven't seen all of Blade. I just know about the ending and the things with Liangol. Like, I just know that much.
That's a bummer if you hadn't seen the show, because that was one of like the things that I didn't know going into it, and like seeing it in the show for the first time is kind of what made me fall in love with it. So maybe you'll already like it going into it, but that show is a slow burn, I will say.
Okay, so yeah, like whenever I can find the time to Blade is next on my list. But yeah, so with the hypotheticals, well, yeah, like the final form for Tom, Gary, you're doubled for some reason. I see you twice.
I only see him once right now, but
I
that
see him
could just be
frozen,
my
and I
end.
see him. Yeah, I see him. Like,
He's frozen for sure.
let me check. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we got two Garys.
So
there we
now
go.
we have one Gary.
Here's what happened. My internet was like, yeah, let's just restart in front of a light during recording.
Oh no.
Gary and Gary were once the same person, but they
We are now two detectives in one. I am Kamen Rider Double.
I love that now I can do like a Brady Bunch effect and kind of like look down and talk to Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Jeff.
But yeah, the Saber final form, I feel like it would have to be a separate blade, like some way of doing, because obviously what you have book within book, and then now you have book within book that unfolds to look like a full on story page.
A big book.
Nothing really is going to fit in this thing anymore if you try to do add-ons.
Unless it just went in all three slots. Just a big
all
book.
3
I
slots.
was about to say that.
Kamen Rider Encyclopedia.
Literally.
I actually had one further bit of just a random thought that I had, and then I wanted to actually transition into toys, because I have questions for toys, because, well, I'm broke and you guys have Kamen Rider Saber toys. And also I have a couple thoughts about them, but Do you
Andre
guys
says, I think it's rumored to be a new sword. So yeah, I think that there has been rumors going around for a new sword for Saber. Because, well, we forgot to mention the final sword. Besides,
Right.
because obviously we've seen pictures of Logos as a rider, or what we're assuming is Logos as a rider, but there was in fact another villain rider that had a sword, Falchion, with the Mume Ken.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Mume Ken. What was the name of the actual name? Sword?
Love that suit design.
Yeah, it's primarily like a
it's Mumaken because it doesn't have another name. I'm pretty sure it's like the Sword of Void or something.
Yeah, it has no element compared to
right, exactly.
Like obviously we have fire, water, electricity, earth, sound, wind, smoke, time, darkness, and light, and Mume Ken Kyomu. Okay, thank you, Andres.
Kyomu.
And, we have
Thank you.
11 swords with everything, and then like Mume Ken is the only one that doesn't have that element.
Also, he was played by Falcon was also played by Go 5's Go Blue.
Nice. Another Sentai.
Still need to finish that. But anyway,
yeah.
So I actually wanted to transition into the toys because I have one complaint about Saber.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give the forms enough time to breathe. And this is going to sound completely out of left field, but hear me out. So I remember I should have said this earlier in like the introductions and stuff. When we first got like the toy solicitations for Rider for Saber, I was on the phone with Chenix as per usual, like I do every night or every other night, and we literally I literally said, "Thank God I'm not collecting Rider this year because we had six different henshin devices and the emblem sets and all the Wonder Ride books." This is now, mind you, the only Rider series I've ever collected was Ghost, unfortunately. And with Ghost, it was like, okay, these are like 500 yen a piece, they're like $5-6 each. I could just get a bunch of them. Because of the way that the electronics work in Japan, I think the Wonder Ride books are like $15-20, and for like the Dragonic Knight one and Lion Senki, Brave Lion Senki, that's
King Lion Senki.
I think those Wonder Ride books are like $45-50 each. So I'm just like,
if you import them, yeah.
How like to get the Wonder Ride books is just there's too much. So my question to you guys is, was there like a specific writer's book that you wanted, or did you just like say, screw it, I have all this money, let me go hardcore into collecting Saber's toys? Because I originally wanted to get Build and Blaze books, and I could probably do that for like 300 yen a piece on Mandarake because it's Mandarake.
Yeah.
But Reggie, how did you go about collecting Saber stuff?
So for Saber, I wanted to at least have the emblems for the sword driver. I would like to get the other blades someday, but probably not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Mostly because of space, to be honest. I mean, I didn't even get my sword driver in until like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Because I did a group order with my friend, and they happened to help me get this. So that's why I have now Tiny Knife. And but for the Wonder Ride books, I wanted to make sure that I got Espada's logo and Blades' logo, which I got through like another group order with friends for only 800 yen each.
Yeah.
So that's what, $8 in
That's
comparison to what they originally were selling for like 2,000 yen. So Gary, I know you're paying when it comes to that. But yeah, like Saber, like we mentioned earlier, that was a series I was excited for, but after experiencing 01 and previously Zio, Geo, and then Build, and then because Gary, up until this like O's onward, minus the Wizard driver, like I have every main rider's driver to that point. I mean, right now I'm waiting for the CSM, Sengoku driver to release so I can have a Gaim one again. But like every single driver up to that point, from like actually double onward, the main driver for the rider I have. So
That's
like
awesome.
it was just like, because I love Heisei Phase 2. That's my wheelhouse when it comes to riders. So like that's why I wanted to, like kind of get at least the main rider thing. So the Wizard is the only one I don't have. I used to have it, but ironically I sold it to get the Sengoku driver back when it first came out. So I was like, now I kind of regret it. So I want to go back and get it. But yeah, so for Saber, I'm selective. That's why like rather than getting the swords themselves for now, that's why I just asked my friend to help me grab the gashapons for these.
Yeah.
Just so I can at least hopefully they make the SH figure arts for these riders. We're waiting. He showed us silver and it says Draconic Knight. I mean, like Draconic Knight's a beautiful suit, but we were waiting for Buster, man.
If they make Buster, I'm buying that.
We were waiting for Buster.
I had a quick point that I want to make also. Then I want to hear Jem's whole approach to buying Saber. Well, because I didn't go into depth with it. When I say they don't let a form breathe, how long before we had we had Saber's like complete suit and we had blades. How long after Saber's debut? Saber full. It's not called Full Dragon, I know.
Crimson Dragon.
Crimson Dragon. How long after Crimson Dragon debuted did we get Draconic Knight? Does anybody remember?
I think it was like only 3 or 4 episodes. Because it was like... Because, that was...
Yeah.
That was like really soon. I mean, like, when it came to, like, say... Yeah, 01 and Geo and Build, obviously those all had form after form after form after form after form too. So, but
the thing is, if we're comparing Saber to Build, at least Build used other forms. Like there was he used like Nin and Comic a bunch of times. He used like Hawk Gatling a lot. He loved using Gorilla Diamond. So to answer my own question, Crimson Dragon debuted episode 9, and he got Draconic Knight episode 2.
It was like 13 or 14.
13.
Andre says 13.
Yeah. Thank you, Andre.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is this is a negative trend that I've also noticed with Rider, because I don't know, I haven't watched 01 yet. That's my next project.
My favorite.
But why do they not let Rider forms breathe? I want to see more Crimson Dragon. I wanted to see more Primitive Dragon, because Primitive Dragon's a great suit. It's not like I don't like
that you say that though, is that because Draconic Knight, after its debut, he was still using Crimson Dragon several times. So it's
he was.
It's like, you have a more powerful form, Toma. Why don't you use that? No, we have to still sell this one. And I think, Jem, didn't you get the box set for Crimson Dragon?
For Crimson Dragon, that was a must for us, because I didn't know it was a thing, and it was I was just on Amazon Japan and I saw that it was there, and I was okay, that's it, that's the one I want, because I love box art. So seeing Saber and Crimson Dragon on the box was really sick for us. As far as approaching the Saber collection, I don't know how it happened. And it wasn't decided that we were going to get every sword, but at one point or another, it was that rider's sick. That sound is really cool. That looks really cool.
We're building an armory.
Let's split it. And then that's what we do. We just split toys, price wise, usually. And it just happened, out of nowhere. I was all right, now we have all these swords. A couple weeks ago, I looked at it and I was why do we have every sword? Because we only wanted Sabers and Gekido. That's all we wanted from the beginning, Yeah. But then it kind of just went downhill, because for 01, I just have a life goal to get every driver from that season. But for Saber, I didn't. It wasn't I need to get all those swords. They're so. It was just while we were watching the show, we were just we're excited, let's get it. And that was basically it, you know?
It's whenever they release Sabella and Durendal's swords,
it's over.
Jam, you're just gonna be sitting watching an episode, and all of a sudden you hear the doorbell ring, and wait, when did we order that? I don't know.
It's crazy, because when Durandal debuted, I was all right, I just want Sabella's sword. I don't have to get this trident. It's cool. And then Sophia saw it, and then she was we need that. And I was no. So yeah, we'll probably have every Saber sword at some point.
Also, just another thing, because I watch it. I don't know if you guys know who MGO is. MGO is a Transformers toy. Here use it all. I was watching his reviews for Kenzan, for the other swords, and they don't have the ability to read the books and stuff. Has that well, obviously not for Gem because Gem's a swordsmith in training. But like for Reggie, has that deterred you from wanting to like immediately scoop up all of these swords? Because that's probably the reason why, as much as I like Kamen Rider DN, I didn't buy a DN driver until the 20th anniversary edition came out last year. Because I wanted to be like, okay, I want to be able to actually read the damn cards.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like I said, it's more on the space thing, really. Like,
Yeah,
I love the
fair.
designs. I don't mind that they don't read everything. It's just like Gem is like cool sword, must have. But for
Yeah.
me, yeah, it's more on this the space and the pricing right now because like you guys know me. I love my action figure photography, so that's why I want to kind of focus on more. Making sure I get the materials and figures to go with that. Drivers, I'm fine with just usually having just the main rider. Jem, you and I are on the same boat though. I must have all of 01's drivers right now.
They're
I'm only
so
sitting
cool.
I'm only sitting at the 01 driver / 02 driver if you use the module the shot riser and the force riser. A friend of mine was going to actually he did he's going to provide me with the Zetsuma riser, but it's currently stuck in Japan. And I think he was also going to do the same thing with the Cyclone riser, but again also stuck in Japan. And a friend of mine is looking to sell the Arc driver, and I'm just like, because Aruto is one of my favorite writers, I'm like, why you gotta do this to me? Why you gotta mention that you're gonna?
I was so hesitant on the Arc driver, but it's a must.
It's a little miniature. I only have the little miniature one with me right now, but that's
enough.
It's a clean. It's like it's a jumbled mess, and then Arc 1, and they're like it looks like it's so simplistic, but it looks so cool. But yeah,
I'm trying to think. Did I have any other thing I wanted to bring up about Saber before we roll right into the Q&A? I like what I've seen so far. I'm hoping that we get some kind of resolution and we get more background about the Sword of Logos outside of the little story that we got a couple episodes ago with Yuri explaining the whole history behind them. I really want to see Gento become a Kamen Rider because he was a Sentai character, and now I want to see him become an actual writer. Give Bandai, if you're listening to us, please. I don't care how I have to afford them. I have a soul I could sell. Give me a full size Kai and Ken Rekka, please. I want that displayed next to my medieval times part on my wall.
Yeah, if they can do the Memorial Yoso Ken and the Satan Saber and the Revolcane, come on,
that would be a great size.
Give us the big blade. If not the big blade, give us a big Buster blade. Because Buster is one of the only other swords I would actually drop it for if they made it big sized. I mean, maybe
I don't care.
But
I don't care if it cannot read the Wonder Ride books. I don't care. I don't want it to go down another rabbit hole like I probably am with the full bottles in a couple of months. But Jem, final thoughts on Saber before we roll into Q&A.
Final thoughts on Saber. Well, if anybody would like to know my opinion on Saber, I am enjoying the series overall. I don't think it's perfect in any means, but I also don't think that any Kamen Rider season is perfect. Through and through, every episode is amazing. I do think there are some weaknesses to Saber, but I don't think that it should steer you away from the show if you're trying to get into it. I think it's a good show for somebody that maybe is into stories or books or maybe nights, because there's a lot of cool visuals for both those things. And like I said, we've been watching it weekly. We react to it every week on the YouTube channel. So it's something that for us, it's not only something that we like to do, but we get to share with everyone else how much we like it, because I feel like there's a lot of bad rep for Saber, and I don't think it deserves a bad credit because I think it's pretty good.
Reggie, final thoughts on Saber at the current moment?
I kind of have to agree with Jem. It's one of those series that it's kind of like a roller coaster ride of this is an enticing moment, and then this is kind of a moment, but at the same time, it's not I'm not gonna discredit it. I want to see more. I'm hoping for more. One of those kind of series. So I'm not gonna just straight up drop it. I know there's a couple people that after 5 episodes I don't like it. Well, you kind of missed out on this section.
So much.
Good.
There's so much story
Yeah.
that happens after the first 5 or the first 10 even, you know?
Yeah.
There's 50
So-
episodes.
That's why if anybody that's watching it hasn't seen it, I mean, like, we kind of spoiled a lot of things, but you guys should see those
Sorry.
moments in action. Definitely check it out. Like, I know that our buddy Matt, like, Matt Dickens, 55. Shout out to you, bro.
We miss you, Matt.
Jem, Matt and I used to do a show called Explosions Behind Us, and that lasted only well, actually, it's funny. We had I guess probably roughly I think 4 to 5 years of the show, but only like about 8 episodes between them because of
Nice.
we were just really bad with timing.
And I was on a bunch of them, and that's why they canceled the show.
Yeah, we canceled the show, unfortunately, but one of these days we want to bring Matt back for one of those episodes. But yeah, he's been telling me in our little chat group that he and I are in that I got into Saber. Reggie, I need help. Why? My entire Amazon cart is filled with Saber items right now. I'm like, oh geez, oh geez. But yeah, Matt's a good friend, and that's one of the things. He had been off of Rider for so long that he decides hey, I'm gonna watch Saber. I'm gonna watch 01, and he loves both. He got enticed to it. So yeah, that guy's just if you've given up on Rider at any point, and you're just I'm not interested, just give it a chance. Just watch it again. It isn't. I'm not saying hey, go out there Andres. This is a comment to your comment. Don't go out there just spend your money and everything. Just watch the show. Try to enjoy yourself. Try to find those moments in there that you guys will actually like. That's what I love about Gem. Us being on the 50th anniversary stuff is that we got to meet people that enjoy Kamen Rider. We got to see the comments of people that hey, that's my favorite show. I love talking about that. Let's talk about it sometime. And I see, with Gary helping out with me creating the show again or creating the show. Now I get to talk with people who love Kamen Rider. It's really hard, especially where I'm living at, to find anybody who watches Kamen Rider because the only people that know about Kamen Rider were probably the people I introduced to in high school. And that was only double, to be honest. That was the series I was showing everybody in home. I'm hey, you have to watch this. And dude, when are we going to watch it? Well, the episode's next week. Okay. But,
all right, so Q&A time.
Q&A time. Do you happen to have the
questions do.
From? Okay.
All right. So first of all, if y'all aren't following us already, Bugz2Men on Twitter. That's where you send us questions, and we'll answer them every couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, whenever we have almost every episode, I think we should have a little Q&A session. Based on the
topic. Our first question comes to us from Josh the Tokyo fan, aka at ShinkenRed89813 on Twitter.
What up, Josh?
He's the reason why I got Tigerlands and Animated Prowl, by the way. So shout out to you once again, my friend.
Yo.
Nice.
Are your favorite forms from each season usually the final forms or the mid-season / berserk forms? Trying to see a pattern here. I'll go last. Whoever wants to go first?
I feel like for me, it really differs for season. I don't think I can narrow it down to every season I like that form for that, quarter or whatever. But for speaking, since this is a Saber episode, I will say that Primitive really blew me out of the way or blew me away because I was not expecting that to be the Berserk form, I guess. But when that was announced, it really changed the game. I was mentioning earlier that I do love Saber's main form now, and I'm excited to see his final form. But I'm not really one, Sophia might, but I'm not one to pick up figures like that. But if there was a figure, a really good one, like an SH Figure Arts of Primitive Dragon, I'd probably grab that one for sure.
Yeah.
Reggie, go ahead.
Come on the same boat with Gem in regards to when it comes to forms. It really depends on the series because, for example, O's, I guess, Tajador and Putotira are kind of tied for me. They're the mid-season and the final form / final form. And when it comes to say Gaim, I'm more a preference for Kachidoki over Kiwami, to be honest. Wow. Kiwami though, I think had the potential. I just honestly I don't like the silver. That's
fair.
That's the thing with me. I mean, Gary, you just looked at why did he say that? Why did he say that?
Oh no. I'm being 100% honest. My nose is itchy.
It's fine, man. It's a springtime allergy season. But yeah, in terms of Saber, I would say if we're ranking the forms that he has so far, like the identified forms. So yeah, primitive and draconic are both on top for me. Crimson, his main form, and then elemental. To be honest, elemental. I do like the suit. I
know.
I'm kind of on the boat that I think Carl brought up in one of his episodes of Tokudon, that if it wasn't like, if it didn't keep the teal from Primitive Dragon and they made the teal white.
Interesting.
Because I mean, like, because isn't, like, when it comes to flames, isn't white usually the hottest of the flames? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it made that slight change, I think it kind of would have worked better.
That's totally fair.
Yeah. So like, I'm not like absolutely hating it. I'm just saying, like, in regards to if it comes to figure wise, I mean, ironically enough, I did not pre-order. I did not order Draconic Knight. Like, I have a middleman, but I'm letting my friend take that order.
Yeah.
Like, because it's hard to get figures these days, to be honest. But yeah, like if I wanted to, I would. But there's only certain series that I collect where I get like every single form. Typically, I just get the main form or like what would become their base form. Like, for example, 01, I have Burning Falcon, but no normal Flying Falcon, because like, hey, new rider or new version of this rider, and this is like his iconic form now, kind of deal. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, it varies depending on the series. So Gary, you're the last one to answer that question. What's up?
So,
man?
so here's the thing. Like, I'm not even like restricting my answer to just Saber. My favorite form in build is Hazard, because it's the jet black, and then you have like the color contrast
So
with the
beautiful.
with the eyes for like Rabbit Tank or like Key Dragon or Kaizoku Resha. But one of my favorite forms of all time is, and that's why I kind of more or less lean to like the final form also.
Mm-hmm.
I consider Hazard to be the final form. I don't like Genius at all. It's too gaudy looking for me, and the cape does nothing for me. But one of my favorite all time final forms is Blade King form, because that suit looks clean. It uses the entire concept of the show with all like the undead, the seal undead making up bits of the armor, and I love how it extends the sword, gives him a brand new sword. Meanwhile, if we're talking about Saber, my favorite form in Saber is Primitive Dragon, because it's like, fun fact, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And my favorite card growing up was Blue Eyes White Dragon. So when I first saw that, I was like, did he just summon the Blue Eyes White Dragon?
No, it's the Red Eyes Black Skull Dragon.
Or it could be Draconic Overlord on this thing. But that's not here nor there.
Just so we can appreciate this theme.
That was really rough. But I guess to answer Josh's question, I more or less like final forms, because I feel like there's like a culmination of power there. Like Berserk forms are also cool.
Yeah.
Second question comes to us from Sergeant Hooked on Juran, aka, I'm trying to get his name up here, Rider Beltgo Beep. Great name, by the way. First rider related thing you each watched. First owned driver. I'm going to start off this one because I got a story. So my first ever convention was a local convention in 2011. Now this was when I was first getting into Kamen Rider, and I wrote my own fanfic based on seeing a couple episodes of Decade. So I wanted a Kamen Rider belt to wear, and I was like, the O's driver was too expensive. Because I hadn't started working yet. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear a Kamen Rider belt. I got the Legend Rider series Kabuto belt off of CS Toys. That was my first ever. Awesome. That was my first ever venture into collecting Rider stuff. But my first ever figure art was actually Cyclone Joker Extreme, which I still have, and it's broken. Like part of the face is like completely gone, unfortunately. But
do I have any parts that we can use? To think.
my first Rider show was actually, I consider it Dragon Knight, because that's once I saw Dragon Knight, I was like, all right, what's the current airing Kamen Rider show? Decade? Okay, I'll start watching Decade, and that's my origin story with Rider. Jem, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, it's kind of similar for me. I mean, obviously, like if you knew Power Rangers, you know Masked Rider, Saban's Masked Rider, maybe even a little bit. But that for me was always when I thought of Kamen Rider, that's what I thought of until 2009 when Dragon Knight came out, and that's when I was like, "What is this? Who are they? And why is this the next thing that's going to change my life?" But then I didn't like the series, so then I just kind of gave up on that. And one day I was just scrolling through YouTube because I was looking for Super Sentai stuff, and I found a Decade Henshin, and the effects of it kind of just changed the way I looked at Kamen Rider. It just made me fall in love with the effects and with Skasa and Decade as a writer, because the look of him was just so badass. So sorry, I don't know if we can curse over here, but it was so cool to me. It was so cool to me because I just hadn't seen a pink hero like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like the special effects were amazing. So it kind of just, sorry, Magenta. So then it kind of just led me down a rabbit hole of just Googling or YouTubing like clips or whatever. And I didn't really get into Rider every year watching it live up until about Gaim. Me and my friend were like, what is this? This is ridiculous. This isn't what this should be. But I didn't know anything. I had never seen the series. So then we kind of just got into it and then kind of liked it. But then we were like, wait, let's watch some other Kamen Rider seasons and then come back to it. So then we just binged 7 seasons in a row, kind of just like random seasons. And then like we eventually got to Drive, which was like airing at the time. Finished that, and then Ghost and all the, there's history at that point. But yeah, after that, my first belt that I was able to buy was the Beast Driver, which Nito Kosuke, Mayonnaise Boy, love him. I love our Mayonnaise Boy. Yeah, and the LION was the selling point for me when he just like opens it and like the thing starts playing. Like it was amazing, and I love the Wizard Driver, but I just liked the Beast Driver a little bit more, and yeah, it's kind of got us into like at least collecting secondary rider drivers because we love secondary riders. So that's probably a thing for us. But Beast was definitely my first one, and I hold that forever. Like I'm not, super important.
I mean, believe it or not, when they announced the complete selection modification Garen stuff, I was like, I'm so pissed off. I can't get it. I like Garen's suit, and I love the gun.
Love anyone from Blade.
Anyway, Reggie. Floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, so Jem, you already know the story. I mean, we talked about it on the collectible stream. I lived in Japan because my dad was military. So when we were stationed there, Miyuki was still airing, but I had no idea what it was. So I was like, I'll go about it. And so like, what was it? I think 2005. I see on the screen these demon guys beating up monsters with drumsticks and trumpets and guitars. I'm like, this is interesting. And then the next, year after that was like, these super fast bug people. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm down with this. And then Deno happened. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm hooked. So, so that was like pretty much my little journey. Was like I saw, because back then when I was living in Japan, Yu-Gi-Oh was my primary thing for buying because I wanted the cards so much. Mm-hmm. So like, I would go there and like, or I'd get like Diamond and Pearl Pokemon. I got them when they first came out in Japan, so I was like, I want to play this, and like everybody on the base is gonna be like jealous because I'm playing the new Pokemon game before they can. But So, but when it came to drivers, I was like browsing every single site that I could, trying to find one that I could actually buy with like me not having any work or any stable income. But I was like, so probably first or second year of college, the O's Driver, my favorite Kamen Rider series, was my very first belt. The unfortunate thing is that my original O's Driver, the electronics in the scanner are now messed up, and I haven't been able to repair it at all, which is why it was such a big, a very like big moment for me when Chris and Tom helped me get the CSM O's Driver, because I was just like, it's like the perfect, replacement for, like, not really replacement, but it's the perfect way to have what I love back with me again. Because like I still
Absolutely.
have all the old medals, still like, and back then, like, well, I mean, you guys know me. I love also painting, customizing things. So all those medals,
Yeah.
original medals, are like customized to like make the image more prominent. And like when I try and compare them with the actual CSM medals, I'm like, okay, I see where I could have gone a little better at it. But
Yeah, that's right.
That's
yeah,
nice.
so O's is my first ever driver. Figure arts wise, also O's. My aunt, back when Mitsuya, that's one of like the kind of like Japanese supermarket stores.
Yeah,
still
we
had
have this here on the East Coast in Jersey.
yeah, it still had like a toy section there. Somebody was like selling SH figure arts, and one of them happened to be O's Tatsuba combo. So I was like, huh, this is cool. And then like my aunt like saw me looking at it, and then like Christmas when like because when I was in college, when I went to college, I was living with my aunt. It was just easier, rather than living in a dorm, like being with family. And then I still paid rent though when I did work. So yeah, like when Christmas, she just gave me the gift, and I wrap it, and it's the O's Tatsuba combo. I'm just like, this is yes. And it all went downhill from there after Jordan, shout out to you, Deno Tokenation, helped me do order on Mandarake. So
See,
that's where the SH Figure Arts journey continued on with. But yeah,
I have a couple of stories for whenever we do a figure arts episode, but
funny you say that.
we'll get to that in a couple minutes because there was one other question from a friend of the show at Prawnhorn Fee.
Ayo!
Hey.
I know that person.
We gotta get that person on here sometime. I feel like we know them somehow, Jem.
Definitely.
I mean, she seems pretty cool. I mean, I heard she's dating this dude named, or she's with this dude named Jem, who is also really red. But also,
you say really red because the hair and the lights, or
no, I said rad.
Oh, rad! Nice. I was gonna say, yeah, I'll take red too. I don't mind that.
So first thing she says is, "Your logo is so dope."
Yeah.
And shout out once again to Eric, aka Tricky B47, for making the logo. It's
so
dope as all hell. I love it. And
so the funny story about that is that I hand drew our original logo.
Yeah.
So like, well, hand drawn as in like I had my phone and I was just dragging the drawing. Eric sees it and he goes like, "I've been inspired. I want to redraw your logo for you." like Eric, you don't understand. I was gonna wait until the show took off and then approach you for it.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, man, I got you." And then like he sent me, the initial draft of it, and then like I sent it to Gary, and then we were both just like, "Yes!" So
nice.
Again, huge shout out and thank you to Eric, Tricky B47. I know you've been having a rough couple weeks, man. I hope things get up for you.
We love you, Eric. If you ever need
much love,
we got your back.
Much love to Eric. I mean, like much love to Eric and his wife Teresa. I mean,
yeah.
I loved meeting them at PMC, and like Teresa's also Filipino, so like I call her ate, like older sister.
Because
like so cool.
Reggie, we got to get you out here for a East Coast convention, man. You, me, and Jem. That'd be and Fee. That'd be great. But anyway, speaking of Fee, her question is favorite rider from each era.
Oh, each era.
So here's my problem. The only show rider I've ever seen is the first like 5 episodes of Sky Rider way back in the day that my buddy Dog Sparking Bees, aka Jeeg on Twitter, subbed himself. It's part of Midnight Crew, but I'm gonna split because I don't have a Showa answer, and I can't answer because I haven't seen 01 yet, which I probably will this week. I'm just gonna give you my top 3 favorite Heisei riders. Number 1, Build. Great story, great cast. Banjo Ryuga for life, and Kazumine, and Gen Tokyo has best rider kick. That's all I care about.
Second, they have a very strong cast. There's nobody you can really hate in Build.
My second favorite series is Blade. I play card games. You can tell by that giant poster behind me. I love the suits. I love the story. I still got really emotional at the end, but I'm saving that for the build up for the Blade episode whenever we do that. And my third favorite is Gaim, because Fruit Samurai. And anytime I want to show my friends Kamen Rider, the one I show them is Gain. To the point where
Nice.
my friend comes up to me and he says, orange arms. I'm like, Hanamichi, orange stage. Anyway, Reggie, go ahead.
All right, so I'm kind of in the same boat, Gary. I haven't seen a lot of Showa. I would say, though, in terms of design, between all of them, I'd say like Super One. Honestly, I really like his design. I mean, the little tassels on his things. Heisei, you guys already know it's O's. I mean, it has to be O's. If there's any close second, like it's been shifting around a lot lately. If there was any close second, it'd be between like Build or Deno, and then a double would probably be the third. And Reiwa, 0-1. There's no doubt 0-1. 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, 0-1. But yeah, and Jem, I mean, like, Fee asked this question, so if you want to,
she'll probably know my answers, but for everybody else that doesn't, yeah, I mean, for Showa, like everyone here, I haven't watched much. I've seen a few episodes of the original Kamen Rider, but if I had to go off aesthetics or suits, I'd probably give it to Amazon or Stronger. I love both of those designs compared to like the other Showas or the other Showa riders. For Heisei, I'm kind of gonna steer off the main riders, and I might give it to Gattack because Kagami is like
Wagatomo Kagami.
that's we love him so much in this house, and that CSM for the Gattack sector is definitely on the list. But just thinking of all the riders that there are in Heisei, like it's just so hard to pick one. And I only picked Kagami because like he's the one that I could just mention to Sophia and she's like, Kagami. Yeah, Kagami, you know? And I would love to answer for like Prawnhornheroes, not just my personal preferences. But yeah, and then Reiwa, I would give it to 0-1 just because like he's the best. I love 0-1. But I'm not, because I'm going to stray away from the main rider, so I'm going to give it to Jin. I love Jin so much.
Jin Falcon.
He's my favorite of 0-1, and his suit, Flying Falcon. I love Burning Falcon. Don't get me wrong; that's one of my favorite drivers, the Slash Riser. But Flying Falcon, the pink suit, I just love it so much. So I'd probably give it to Jin.
All right, it's official. I'm watching 0-1 this week.
You have to, Gary.
You have to.
You
It's
already
so good.
know of our May plans.
I actually have a question, and then so originally it was gonna be like a 3 question per person thing, but because of time and such,
Yeah.
let's only do one or so. But my question to you guys is, which is not my one question, is, do I have to watch the recap episodes to 401? Because I know like they did like 4 of them because of COVID.
Well, I mean, I think that in one of them at least there is some form of storyline that does.
Yeah. Okay.
The one I'm thinking of is 35.5. I think it is.
Okay.
Or 34.5. One of those. It's right before 35 or it's right after 35, but it's probably the one you would want to see.
Okay.
If it's like a recap episode, just because like that one does, like Reggie was saying, that one definitely has like a plot line that leads into like the final or like the ladder of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what? Screw it. I should do 2 questions because I have 2 really good questions off the top of my head. First one, favorite Rider theme song, like for the series, and second, Holy Grail Kamen Rider item.
Are we talking, when you talk about theme, are we talking about like the fighting themes? Like
No,
the
main themes.
Like the opening songs?
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
a hard one.
No, Gary, because you say themes for the opening, I'm really tempted to sing it, but we're in the middle of a YouTube broadcast and I don't want to get DMCA'd for it.
Please don't.
So, honestly, believe it or not, it has to be Excite from Kamen Rider Excite.
That's not what I was expecting from you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's for, if we're talking generally, let's say top 5, Excite, Climax Jump, Anything Goes. Even though I haven't seen Blade, Round Zero. I actually really like Round Zero. I know like everybody says Elements is the better of the two, but Round Zero, I love it. And then the very last one would have to be Next Level from Kabuto.
Okay, that's really
Next
good.
Level, like I've had like so many ideas for like AMVs when I was growing up that I wanted to put Next Level into, because it's such a like a dramatic kind of like theme, in my opinion. Like when you listen to it, you can feel the emotion. Like a lot of these other writer themes, like they hype you up, but that one, like for some reason for me, I can feel like when you see in the opening, right? You see like, is it Kagami? Right? He was like he's the one like kind of like shouting in the rain or something like that in the theme. I think that's him.
Might be.
Yeah, like at like that moment, it's like I love that. So yeah, if like I said, if I had to do my top 5, Excite, Realize, Climax Jump, Realize, Anything Goes, and Next Level. So.
And the Holy Grail Rider item, my friend.
And a Holy Grail Rider item.
Something that you either don't have or you don't have pre-ordered.
That's right now, gotta be honest, because I've been tracking Mandarake, Ami for months. Figure Arts Valkyrie or Hirobi. Valkyrie has always been leaving me in the dust. Because like I'll be asleep, like, and then like I wake, like for example today I woke up because of ankle pain. Like I check at 3 o'clock in the morning. Apparently one went up in between like 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock. I was like, really? I missed it. And then Horobi is just so high in price. Like I'm not gonna pay that much for it. Like I want to try and find it where it's in that decent range. Like, you know, at max I want to say like the 7,000, 8,000 yen mark. I mean, that's what basic, most like high price aftermarket is. But then they, you know, you have Eternal and stuff like that. Yeah, I want to get those two for my 01 shelf because, like, you know, I love 01. If he had to go for driver wise, or at least driver items, for me right now, I'm still trying to track down Extreme Memory or Fang Memory, like because Jen, like, you don't know this about me, but when it comes to rider collectibles or rider belts, I try to collect the final form item for each thing. So the other day, Zach was getting Zach was joking with me. Zach, the boy, Hollywood Zach, shout out to you, man, because like some guy was selling the Shift Rider, and that was one that I was missing, and I got it before he did. I'm sorry, nice. Man, but I promise you, like if I ever decide to sell my rider collection, you're first online for that Shift Rider. I know Zach is somebody I want to bring on for the drive episode when we do the drive episode.
Nice.
So, but yeah, Jem, your turn. Theme song and Holy Grail item.
A theme song, real quick. I'm separating 01 because it's Reiwa. I'm gonna give you a Heisei because 01 is my favorite, but I think since it's Reiwa, they really had to go ham for that first one. For Heisei, real quick, top 3. It's kind of similar to Reggie. Round 0, definitely. It's one of the best theme songs ever. I love female vocalists in the openings for Kamen Rider. That's one of my favorite things. Second has to be Anything Goes. Being the first season that I watched from beginning to end, that song just has such, like, I just hold a lot with it. So, like, every time I hear it, it just takes me back. And then lastly, and this is hard because there's so many good Heisei songs, I probably have to give it to Drive, because that, like, when it, like, is, like, coming on, it's so good. And like it really feels like I'm like in a car or like we're racing, and like the fast pace aspect of it just like makes me so hyped for any episode. So I'd probably have to give it to Drive.
Surprise Drive.
Windows are down, I'm driving, surprise drive is on. But yeah, I love those openings for sure. And like I said, that's not counting Reiwa because 01 is my favorite.
Yeah.
Gary, you know what? Answer your own question, man.
Oh, wait. Did Jem answer the Holy Grail question?
Oh, Holy Grail, real quick. I'm just going to go with one. I talked about a few Holy Grails on the streams with Team Kamen Rider, but I'll mention one I haven't mentioned over there. Something I really want, I would love to have just like, how do I put this? I would love to have a belt that can transform me into a Kamen Rider.
You know,
that's what I want. That's what I want.
That's fair.
I mean, You guys see like the this is like slightly off topic, but I think it'd be fun if they actually did this. So there's been video of like people who like they have their phone and like AR like kind of overwrites them to be Hatsune Miku. They need to make an app for that where it's like you pick your Kamen Rider, because it's funny because the guy who showed that video, he actually did Kuga's pose. So it's like, why don't you like
That's amazing.
make that an app? You know, it's just like have it your camera and then like it just like overwrites you as the Kamen Rider that you choose, and like you could just use that for videos and stuff. That would be cool.
I mean, they also did that for Power Rangers too with Dino Charge, because when you scan
the helmets.
when you can scan the QR codes from like the Dino Chargers. So, to answer my own question, top 5 favorite Kamen Rider songs. All right, so number 1 is close to my heart. Blade Brave hits me right on my Kokoro. The second one, believe it or not, I've only seen the first couple of episodes of Hibiki because TV Nihon subs suck. I like the opening and the ending theme for Hibiki, so I'm gonna count that as 1. What's it called? Ryuki Alive still gets played on my phone regularly sometimes. And then I'm gonna just Surprise Drive when it came out was great. Now Eternal's a good singer, I'm not gonna lie. And then the number 5 is, come on, have you met me? Do you know what I've been through? It's Be the One. Come on.
Oh yeah.
And my holy grail rider item, well, there's 2, both CSMs. The Garen and Blade Rousers, because I want to, and CSM DN Driver. I have the 20th selection, the 20th anniversary one, but I want more cards.
Yeah, I feel that.
All right, Reggie, why don't you do your 2 questions quickly? Then we do Joe, and then we sign off because it's almost 3 o'clock.
Well, we'll of course show the little video teaser after this. Obviously, guys that are still watching, the video teaser, unfortunately, when I try to show it, it won't say the audio. So it's kind of imagine, or I'll just voice what I'm saying. But yeah, for my questions, guys. Well, Jem, you managed to talk about this with the guys on the Reiwa stream. A concept for a Kamen Rider. What would you like to see Kamen Rider make?
Nice. I'll give a different answer this time.
I mean, I love your idea of the Chef Rider, though.
Ooh. Here's the thing, just because if I would only accept the Chef Rider if the bell was voiced by Gordon Ramsay. Are you stupid donkey? Are you ready to hang Shin? Blimey! Where's the risotto?
The show must be pirated because these subs are raw.
Raw? There you go.
Oh
my. And we both Gary.
Nice.
I've been broken for a while. Concept for a Rider series? Oh, you know what? Do me last. Jem,
so I think for me, I was thinking about this yesterday. I would love to see a clown themed rider, just like a team of clowns, essentially like multi-rider. And I only thought about this because of Parado's final form in X-Aid. It like almost looks like a jackal or like some type of like Joker, essentially. And like that made me so interested in seeing like what a Kamen Rider suit would look like if it was like based off of a clown, kind of like Pennywise or any other clown makeup, you know, like how a suit and armor would look like for like a clown. I think that would be really cool.
Kamen Rider Cirque.
All right. Well, I guess now I have to answer. Exactly. So for me, the biggest thing that I want to see from a Rider series, and I'm saying this because I have dinosaurs in the mind because I'm looking at my Ryu Soldier mecha, and I also in Magic the Gathering I play a dinosaur commander deck. Give me an entire series where the Riders are based on fucking dinosaur. Ooh.
That's awesome.
Give me an entire series based on dinosaurs.
You know, like Gary, you know, I drew like a bunch of different writers, and like one of them was actually dinosaur theme. Kamen Rider X10. Brief story about that. That is like their transformation devices are little egg Tamagotchis. So they raise their dinosaurs and then they transform that way. His main form was actually a Pachycephalosaurus, and his secondary rider was actually based off caveman.
So Coda
And,
from now in charge.
And they had a tertiary rider who was literally just a humanoid female version of Choryujin. So like her main form was a Triceratops, and she became a Stegosaurus, and she plot twist became the T-Rex monster, and then became her T-Rex form, and then she combined all three. So yeah.
I mean, I had one other answer for this, and this one's gonna be kind of a cop out. I want to see music based rider again, and this time like instead of like demons, make it like I don't know. Like I'm gonna just revert back to like Linkara for a hot sec, because there's an episode of there was a joke in one of his episodes where Batman literally takes down rock and roll because apparently he hates it. So make like all of the enemies based off of like rock and roll, like what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does with the stands.
That's cool.
Nice.
And what was your other question, Reggie?
I kind of didn't think of one.
That's fair.
It's like funny. I made sure that this episode was pretty organized, and I can't even think of another question to ask you guys.
Yeah, so I only have one, so
go ahead, Jem.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not necessarily Toku related. It's kind of just for you to doing like Bugz2Men. Like what I know we've talked about kind of just like meeting or talking more about it, but like what are some goals that the two of you have with Bugz2Men, and like what do you look forward to with Bugz2Men?
Reggie, I'll let you do this because this is still I know he says like this is both of our ideas, but honestly, I just messaged Reggie when I the way when they announced the Heisei panel, like when they announced all of like 01 coming to Blu-ray, and I was like, you want to just hop on my YouTube channel? We'll just do like an episode about this, and this turned into this. So Reggie, this is your brainchild, dude. Go ahead. I'll talk after.
Just to become like definitely like an informative type of video channel as well. We'll show the preview for the next episode, but also to interact more with the community as a whole. Obviously, Jem, we brought you on. You're a great guest. Like, I hope that we get you for more episodes, but I do want to include a couple more people that like people that I believe deserve the spotlight in the Toku community, because like you have these people who complain about like, oh, this guy's just an arrogant influencer kind of thing. Like, oh, what is he doing here? Like, why is he even supposed to be on here? Like, no, these people deserve to be here. They have like you, they have that passion. It's just that like they have to show like this is a little harsh. They have to show it a little bit more. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like when the Team Rider panels were going on, I was checking some comments. There was this one guy who was like complaining about, a lot of, like you, me, and like the other guys that were appearing on those panels. Jim, they're like, these guys don't even pronounce things right. Like, why are they even here? Like, because we're fans. Like, we this is something we're passionate about. This is the thing so that's why like. I want to do like a lot of episodes where we introduce people that may not be well known, but I know of their work because I've seen them. Like one of the episodes I want to do is like artists, like High CV. He is pretty prolific. Yeah, prolific. Artist, because like everybody knows his work. I mean, Jem, you have a couple of his pins, but
we do.
I haven't seen him actually sit down and talk with anybody, like kind of explain not just his history with Toku, but what brought about him wanting to design all these things. Like I know obviously he's an artist, but I want to like more about his craft, like not just for other people to know, but also for me to kind of learn about it. That's why I kind of wanted this show to be, is not just like us talking about our Bugmen, but also to inform people of other people, like their talents, their skills, their shows. Like speaking of Prawnhornheroes, you guys have your own channel, and like you have like a bunch of like your answer videos, you have your reactions, you have your discussions, you work with Achilles on that podcast. Like like that's amazing. That's because like with this like we're trying to do it every other Saturday. Like obviously real life takes precedent, but this is like a period of time where we're able to just talk and understand like and learn more about each other, which is
Yeah.
what I want to kind of do. And not only that, like different topics for writer series and stuff like that. So I see that we're currently actually without viewers right now, but in the event that anybody actually decides to watch the full 2 hours of this,
Thank you.
well, Gary, first, what would you like to see, man?
All right,
Like,
so
come from
here's
this.
the thing. I'm just a dude who rambles a lot. So, and also I have really bad social anxiety, believe it or not. Like, I'm a big friendly dude. I talk to like nobody on Twitter because I'm just an annoying SOB, and I want to be included in like Toku stuff because I've been a fan of this for 15 years now, scarily enough. And like I looked up to people like Reggie, to Toku Chris, to Eric, to people like Jem. And I was like, you know what? I would love to like become friends with these guys. Like be able to like do stuff to not only support like them, but to support the brand of Kamen Rider and even Super Sentai and something else I'm not really into right now, but I might get interested in Ultraman. Like, so I was like, I want to like get to know these people. Something like maybe MorphicCon happens or like something big Kamen Rider event happens. We can all arrange to like hang out together. And like, because I know like the big writer meetup from 2 years ago before in the before time. There were a lot of people that I know, like Toku Chris was there. Speed Racer Flubber flew in. I want to get him on at some point too because he's awesome talking about like fan dubs. But my biggest thing was I wanted to meet new people because my friends don't, like my real life friends, don't watch Kamen Rider. Heck, the only friend that I've actually been able to successfully get to watch any kind of Toku, he's only seen Jew Ranger, and I told him I need to show you more Super Sentai. Like the only one I really want to watch is Jew Ranger because he likes MMDR. So just like to have a group of people that I can like message and like talk about this with. Like as much as I like my friends, none of them to watch Tokusatsu, and you guys do. So, and also I want to help the brand evolve. Like I want to be able to like, go to like Barnes and Noble or Best Buy and like buy Blade on Blu-ray or DVD. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
So like I want to support the brand as much as I can without having to spend a lot of money because I'm an adult and I have bills to pay. So that's the long and short.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Like when Reggie announced that, I messaged him a couple days after, just letting him know like if he ever wanted to have me. I'm sure he talked to Sophia because Sophia was letting me know that she was also like talking to Reggie about stuff. So I was like, dude, if you ever want to like work together, you want to have me on, have Sophia on, as long as she's free, she'll come through. So like it's really cool to be here with y'all. I'm happy to like support this because like just like Gary was saying, I feel like a lot of fans that have been in this fandom for years probably don't feel like they're in the fandom because of maybe not being in a spotlight or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But one of the reasons why I started doing stuff too was to interact with the fandom more. It's never been because like I'm trying to be in any spotlight. And honestly, like there's been some comments these last couple of weeks for like Prawnhornheroes just about like who we are and stuff. And like I never think that we're any sort of big deal. Like I'm just starting out with this whole situation. Like we're just getting settled into stuff. So for me, like I'm just in the beginning of this journey. And if I could meet more people like you guys who love Kamen Rider, who are trying to like do stuff with this franchise and trying to like create stuff, that's all I'm trying to do too, you know? So like I like meeting and talking with like-minded people in the fandom. So that's why I'm here, you know?
Yeah. And like I said, Jem, we're happy that we have you on.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, we definitely want to bring you and Fee on at the same time. Or if anything, if Fee wants to come on. Like I said, I do have lots of plans for this channel. Not just the every 2 weeks thing. There's gonna be some months where I want to try to do like separate little like not live videos, but at least like kind of just doing this but recording it rather than broadcasting it and then like editing it, putting it up later as like mini interviews. That's something I planned for. Something for May. I definitely now think about it for June. May is going to be a specific topic. June is going to be kind of more on those like broadcast, podcasts, artists, that kind of thing. But as I mentioned, we have a viewer. Yay. Hi, viewer. Let's
Hello.
go ahead and share the preview for next episode. So, I mean, obviously, I only have the one monitor downstairs. I'm currently, unable to carry one.
I was like, Kai, Bugz2Men, episode Sun.
Okay, so we're gonna show the video.
Yeah, I tried.
To men. Oh, cool. I wonder where they come from.
Yeah, so next episode is a SH Figure Arts history video with Collector Shuki from RRR The Streets and her own YouTube channel, and she's just a really cool person.
Yep.
So sick.
Yeah, man. I know that was one of the big complaints that I saw in the comments when we were doing the stream, because everybody was expecting it to actually be about, well, it said history of collectibles under the promo, so I like, that's one of the things, like, because SH Figure Arts, of course, like I mentioned earlier, is a big, like, part of my collection. It's a big thing that I enjoy. Like, I know people are wondering, how did this all started? What's, like, the difference between a renewal versus a Shinkocho Seiho? Like, that kind of stuff. So that's why I kind of wanted to go over with, like I mentioned before, or I actually haven't mentioned it, but, Collector Shuki Rai, she was a huge inspiration for me. And I remember when I was in high school watching her videos every day and like watching her SH Figure Arts reviews. And that's kind of what kind of influenced me to kind of go after them. So that's why I'm happy that I've talked with Rai, and we are going to have her on next episode, which will be airing, like I said, May 1st. May 1st is going to be a double, it'll be like a double announcement at the end of the video of that stream. So involving the following episode and as well as what I have plans for May. So like I said earlier, Jem, been a pleasure having you on the show.
It's been cool being here, man.
Thank you for talking Saber and everything else with us that we had today. Yeah. And for that viewer that just came in, thanks for tuning in last second. You can watch this video, this broadcast. I'm going to make sure that it stays up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it does, right? Like, this is my first time doing a live
broadcast. Does. Like, I've done, even back when we did the EBU show, those stayed on for years. Hell, there are times when I'm bored, like while I'm working, I'm just like, let me just throw in an old episode of EBU. Like, okay. I still watch our Heisei Generation Forever like review a bunch of times. So, Jem, where can the fine people of the internet find you, my friend?
Every social media at Prawnhornheroes. You'll find my lovely face there. I do so much on TikTok, on Twitter, on YouTube, and sometimes you'll see Sophia. So yeah, come hang out. We do a lot of stuff. We react to episodes weekly on the YouTube channel, and we do like fun fan henshins or just like funny videos everywhere else on the interwebs. So yeah, thanks for having me.
I definitely want to join you for those TikTok videos when my
absolutely. Yeah,
our pleasure, man. Reggie, where can they find you?
Of course, you guys can find me at 2KROs on most social media. So like on Twitter and on TikTok. I created one yesterday. Lots of really random videos there, so don't expect too much. I mean, you can really not do much when you're not able to walk around. So, but I also have a commissions page. Currently still on hold because I still have a lot of stuff in my backlog. Called Fandai Customs, and then also you'll see me posting here and there on Bugz2Men.
Yeah, you can find me GBX93 anywhere you could think of. Just don't try Instagram because I won't accept you. I do have a poetry page where you can follow me, GBX Poetry. I'm on Instagram as well. Twitter, YouTube, GBX93 if you want to hear Madman talk about random bullcrap for like a half hour at a time with really bad lighting. Because you can tell I'm in a tiny apartment and I don't have a ring light because I can't afford it and I don't have the space for it. But yeah, I'm not on TikTok or anything. So.
All right. Well, like I said again, Jem, thanks for being on. And guys, we're going to see you next time on May 1st for the SHF history episode. Yeah. See you later.
Bye. Hey guys.